Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Welcome back to some Club 100 racing, this time round 5 at Rissington. Straight into race number 1, where we're starting on the even side of the grid towards the back. Got Kurt Holmes behind, Miguel on the right hand side, Mikey and Scott Parker in this one as well from the C1s. And as we go round turn 1, relatively even, Mikey and one other go wide as they go through turn 1, and then the driver in front really gets on the brakes hard as they rejoin. I'm a bit too close and that ends up spearing him off into the background, and then Kurt goes sent around as we go through the first left-hander of the circuit, and after all that, I don't think I've really progressed all that much, but Scott Parker definitely has, as he slips in front of us, down towards the dogleg for the first time, and big mistake there from the driver in the red suit, getting it a little bit too hot and taking out a few other drivers for the trouble. Not really when it's so condensed like that, not really the best place to overtake. It's almost better to try and get people on the exit. But we jump ahead behind Dan Grocott here, who's making a move on or looked to make a move on the driver in front. And as we come down towards the hairpin, not hairpin, dogleg, although it's very, very tight like a hairpin. The sort of attempted move of kind of slowed him down coming down that straight, gave us the opportunity to get alongside and then make the move going into the corner. Didn't fight too much, and then as we come through the very fast right-hander towards the penultimate corner on the circuit, we haven't really lost that much, and that's going to be the key in heat racing. Try not to lose as much time as possible as you're making your way through the pack. So going through turn 2, looking for that move up the inside, throwing it down, but not quite able to get alongside enough to make that move stick, and had to have a bit of a rethink as to how we're going to get past Mr. Pike in front. Jump forward a lap or two, just the one I think. We've got another driver off in the grass on the left hand side. Again, having a little bit of a thinker going down the inside, but not this time. Tom Edwards there getting a bit of a horrible run off of the left-hander, but we give him a little bit of a nudge going into the right-hander to get him alongside, thinking that might enable us to take advantage of a move later if they're fighting one another. And we decide this time to try and get up the inside of Tom with Pike there, who's making the move, but doesn't end up paying off for me, as I end up getting stuck to the outside as we go around this series of right-handers and get ferried wide, we'll say at that point. As we go through, I don't have to slot in, losing 2 positions. Not ideal. In trying to go and get 1 position, I've ended up losing 2, but it's still got time, still able to progress forwards if the right things come out. And this time, go for that move going through the left-hander, and definitely alongside enough this time, given the space by the driver. But because Dan Grocott was there, not able to really run it all the way to the outside, so gets stuck on the outside for the right-hander, and able to just about keep momentum high enough that we're side by side going down the straight towards the dogleg, and that number 53 car decides to tuck in and fight another day. So we again jump forward. Going into this left-hander was one of my favourite overtaking points for the weekend. A little bit of a tap on the back of Dan Grocott there, but nothing that would have unsettled him. I think he just sort of had to get off the throttle a little bit, maybe from clipping the curb or getting a little bit of a slide on as he went through the right-hander, but opened up the corner a bit too much, allowed me to get up the inside going to the left, and that's another position gain as we look to see what we can do against Tom. Doesn't get the better drives coming through the right-hander after the dogleg, and that enables me to get my nose up the inside as we go around the first right, and then as we go through the faster one, he tucks it in behind. Didn't really want to fight too much at that point because it didn't have a lot alongside, so he tucked in behind. As again, jumping forward, looking down towards the dogleg, we've got the driver in front defending, and that gave me the sort of idea of maybe we can try and cut it back, but does a good job here of keeping it tight on the right-hander, but drive-wise much better for myself, able to use that to get up alongside, probably a bit of a motor difference there, all things being equal. And back behind Mr. Pike again, who makes a bit of a mistake going through the braking zone, got onto the sort of dirty part of the circuit just off the right-hand side, and that meant going a bit too fast into the left-hander, compromised the right-hander, and that gave me the drive. And as you can see at this point, there's just too much gap to try and break down the rest of this heat. So we finished P5 in race number 1 as we jump on to our front start on the pole side of the grid this time, starting in 5th, or one of the front starts. I think this is my front start. And not the best start. You can see there that weren't really able to get the sort of drive off there. I think there's a super heavyweight in front of us, so kind of explains why maybe the drive wasn't as good as it would have been, just because of the extra weight being carried. And we stay in 5th for the time being, but ideally would have wanted to try and move up a couple of positions and take advantage of that better line going through turns 1 and 2 versus the anti-pole side of the grid. As this time we're able to get up the inside of Dan Grocott, I think that is, try to go around the outside here of the super heavyweight, but does enough just to run it with enough speed to stay in front. You can see there we've got Anwar behind, and super heavyweight at this point saying let's go try and push forward, but realistically I'm having absolutely none of that, because I'm thinking, well, no, I think I've got this pace here. So look to go up the inside of the next corner, tries to hang it on the outside, but there was never going to be any space there. But in making that move, my drive off the corner was a bit compromised, and Anwar was able to get up the effectively what was the outside there, or inside of the corner. And then me being compromised, able to, the driver, the number 60, could get up the inside, and then the number 12 kind of tries to push him through the corner. Not the best idea, because that gave the number 60 no ability to turn, and I ended up being collected in that as well and ended up on the grass. So I think here we're essentially second to last, which wasn't the best, considering that this is always going to be a difficult circuit to try and overtake on. So frustrated as I was at this point, it was about trying to catch back up and make the most of it as best I can. So a lap or so later, we've caught back up with the drivers that were in front of us, super heavyweights mainly at this point. It was definitely a circuit that was not easy for the supers, very power based and some very slow corners, which obviously hurt them more than it hurt the normal heavyweights being a bit lighter. Up the inside of this left-hander again, it's one of my favourite points to overtake on this circuit, especially if the driver in front doesn't necessarily know that you're there. They open up the corner a bit too much, and you can just beeline it for the apex, and then get a decent drive coming off the right-hander, and that was able to make the move going, well, even before the corner. The driver on the outside there, realising the move was made, so backed out to give himself the best run through rather than trying to hold it around the outside. As you can see here, we're now catching up. The not driver in front. The driver in front there is I think is Mr. Hicklin, who was the driver we were behind at the start of the race, and I think just probably being a bit too defensive and dropped back quite quickly. So here we're back behind now, and able to make the move on Mike Bodner there, going through the first corner. Just got a better drive coming off the last corner and snuck the nose in. And then this time, rather than trying to make the move going up the hill, well, we didn't try to do that time, but a bit more of a convincing move this time. And yeah, that was me being maybe a little bit frustrated and maybe a bit sarcastic, just saying, come on, let's maybe not defend at this point in the race. Not saying that you're not allowed to defend, but from the start of the race and when defending's got you absolutely nowhere, it's maybe not the best idea. But you can see that this is a bit of racing god's karma out to happen here. So we've got the driver in front that's just nudged the other driver and then instantly spins. So I think, yeah, the scales of racing balance there. If you sort of nudge someone and get the position, the racing gods decided to intervene and give that position straight back. And yeah, that would pretty much be the race at this point. The gap to the kart in front was just about the size that I caught up on the last lap, but they did a decent job defending, and it was P8 in the end, so definitely disappointing from starting 5th. This time starting 7th, so this was my middle start. So we've had a 5th and an 8th so far, so this one would need to be good. Get a slightly better start this time on the inside, better drive, but get pushed wide going through turn 1, stuck in the middle going through turn 2. There's currently a driver on the outside as well, I think, who I just about managed to get in front of going into the left-hander. But here, stuck on the outside now, going through the right-hander, and it's all going wrong at this point. just can't be in the right place at the right time. Get an okay drive coming off it from being slightly wider and pinching that number 20 there to the outside, but here goes to turn in, and then the driver there had a decent run. I ended up having to get out of it, and that's even more positions lost. You can see there Kurt tucks in behind, I think that's Tom, and stops me from being able to get in, leaves just about enough on the outside of the circuit to stop me from going onto the grass, and we have to tuck in behind Kurt. So a really awful first lap. As Kurt makes the move going through the last corner on Tom, I'm able to get myself alongside going through turn 1 as well. And then here, my biggest plan here was to just try and stay with Kurt, because I know he's going to make the moves. Try to go around the outside, not quite able to, but do have the inside line going through the right-hander, and that covers that off. So still behind Kurt, which is goal number 1 at this point, having been shuffled down. Now I just need to get back onto his bumper so that when he makes the move, I'm able to do so as well, because if he gets through and I don't, then that's going to make life a bit difficult. I was kind of hoping there he'd pull out a bit earlier and I could bump him through. He pulls out quite late, and exactly what I didn't want to happen happens. He gets through on the corner, I don't, and even though I'm able to make the move going into the next corner, I've had a bit more of a compromised line, and you can see here that Kurt just gets a better drive off the corner. I am, however, able to catch back up, luckily. I think we were reasonably comparable in this one, and as Kurt keeps it tight, you can see that allows him to get up the inside of Adam Britton. I'm nudging him through with every intention of trying to get through with him as well. Adam just about managed to keep it on the circuit there. We left him space, but I think he was going to try and hold it round the outside and see if he could keep the inside line for that left-hander, but didn't work out from that time. Kurt looking for another move going through the last corner. It worked last time for him, but not this time on Dan Grocott, so we give him a bit of a bump to see if we can encourage him through. And this time goes for the move, little bit of contact, and that slows them both down. And here I've got to make a choice, and I make the choice to try and bump Kurt to see if we can maintain a bit of speed around the outside here. I go to try and follow him through, but I get a bit of a tap from behind myself. That compromises me, and then Adam Britton able to keep it tight. And at that point, that was less of a kind of annoyance at the people. It was just kind of like for God's sake, I've lost Kurt. And then going through the right-hander, just get left no space from the number 20 there. From them coming through, admittedly had a better run on than through the corner than I did, but I wasn't about to disappear, and end up on the grass and shuffling down again. Catch back up behind Tom at this point, but you can see Kurt is just going through the left-hander now, and all of those positions are ones that we potentially could have followed him through on, and made a decent result out of this. But as we make the move back on the number 20 and see if we can make 1 or 2 more before the end of this race, it was definitely going to be an uphill battle to try and get a decent result. Scott Parker makes the move going through the last corner. That, of course, is the driver wide, not able to get inside quick enough, and I'm able to follow him through. Rissington being quite a difficult circuit to overtake on and very power related, it did kind of rely on either you following through moves that other people made or other people making mistakes, but not enough of them happened after me being on the grass. That would be P11, and that would be a B final. I failed on my mission on not starting in a B finals. We're on pole, so we're in a decent position to get through to the A. But in this one, you can tell there that I'd gone for a really slow start, and the driver on the anti-pole had sort of gone a bit too far in front, and I was thinking, great, I can get a really good run, and it just didn't pick up. The low end in this one was not good, and so I was kind of the assumption from this point, man, this is going to be a very defensive race. Coming through the first corner, I sort of tried to give the indication of let's just try and pull away, because at this point everyone knows that it's only the top 4 that get through into the A final, so the fewer of you that can be in that battle, the better. Bit of a shake of the head of getting nudged through the dog leg, but luckily we jump forward here. You can see quite a gap has been made to 3rd place. That's Tom Edwards behind, and he did a great job getting into 2nd. And then being happy to sort of push me along to break that gap. The kart that I had, I would not have been this far in front of 3rd if it hadn't been for Tom pushing, giving him the thumbs up there to say well done. He goes for the move, as he has every right to do. This is sort of getting towards the end of the race now, last couple of minutes. Goes a bit too deep through the left-hander though, and that allows me to get back up the inside, and if he'd have stayed in front, he absolutely had the pace versus me to pull away, so I wanted to try and get back in front just so I had every bit of chance to to get through into the A. And as we go over the finish line, it's not the end of the race. We finished P1, but I was just sort of pointing up towards the clock just to say, come on, we've got a couple of minutes left. Let's just make sure we get right to the end of this race. Myself in first, Tom Edwards finished second in the B, Adam Britton and Kieran Hyde-Moody would be the ones that progress into the A final. Adam Nather absolutely stormed it, puts himself on pole, which isn't great for us considering that we're sort of side by side in the championship at the moment. So it would be a tale of two different stories of this race. Him starting from the front and trying to capitalise, me starting from the back trying to work forward. And you can see there the number 12 doing similar things to heat number 2. Yeah, unfortunate there that I think that was Tom that ended up on the grass facing the wrong way, so he ended up having a very lonely race from that point on, I think. But you can see here nearly 4 wide going into the dog leg. That was never going to work. We end up with contact, nowhere really to go, and end up losing all the positions and stuck on the outside as we come through the double right. And that would put me, apart from Tom, we are currently in second to last as we come through the last corner here. Looking to see if we can try and make a move there, but nothing doing on the slower kart moving in front on the grey helmet. And yeah, that puts us 25th out of 26th after 1 lap. Not at all where I'd have wanted to be or expected to be, really. I'd have expected myself to get a little bit higher through the first lap, but it is what it is. We make a move going through the left-hander, as I've enjoyed doing over the whole weekend, but at the moment that only gets up into 24th, and we've got many more positions if we want to try and stop this from being a dropped score, aiming to probably try and finish inside the top 10 in every single final this year in order to make that happen. Adam Britton looking for the move on the number 12. I think that's Matt Jones, the number 12. But yeah, didn't quite have the run going to the right-hander. That compromised me and had to do a little bit of defending going in towards the dog leg here. You see Matt going a bit too deep, and then that I just couldn't be in the right place at the right time. Tried to go around the outside. That then means I end up losing out, and yeah, from having been nice and close to Adam Britton, you can see he's just going through the left-hander now. We've dropped many kart lengths, and we've gained maybe 1 position out of it, but yeah, not ideal. We're down onto lap 4, and we're still 24th. And yeah, the gap kept going. We did change the car for this one, and whilst I think this one was better, it still didn't really have the pace needed to make rapid progress through an A final grid. Kieran there going a bit too deep through the left-hander, compromised the right-hander, and you definitely didn't want to do that, because essentially from that point all the way up until the penultimate corner you were full throttle, meaning that I could get on the throttle earlier, better drive, and then basically that's me just saying, come on, look, there's a massive gap, we're basically the back of the pack, let's get ourselves going. Jump forward to lap 9 at this point, so many laps later, and you can still see there's a bit of a gap here, and I'm hoping that there'll be some fighting, which there is. You can see we've got 3 karts wide as we go through the dog leg, which isn't going to be good for them. And in one section of track, managed to make 3 positions up into 20th at this point. Still not a good return for the weekend of the sprints, but moving forward at this point, so a bit more battling from the karts in front, maybe that will help us out and we can jump ahead even further. Lap 12 now, there's quite a few laps in this race. I think sort of 15 mil, probably about 3 laps to go at this point. And we've got a kart wide, I think that's William Woods, I think, who was finding himself doing a bit of grass cutting. And as we go through the dog leg here, you can see, not sure what went wrong there, but ended up on the inside, just lost the rear of the car. And we're going to see if we can try and follow through, not quite able to get the momentum to follow. I think that's Lucas in front that was making the move, and we had to tuck in behind Adam Hadfield as we go on to the last lap of the race in 19th. Down towards turn 2, a bit of grass from someone having a bit of an excursion earlier. Adam goes to the move on Adam, and wasn't the cleanest of moves. Tried to come across to dissuade Adam from putting up the inside going into the right hand corner, which I'm able to just, look behind you, he's right on our bumper. Have to go a little bit defensive going into the dog leg, but sort of open up as much as I feel I can so that we're not too slow coming through the right-hander. But in having to go a bit defensive there, as we've still got Adam right on our bumper being pushed by Dan Grocott, so we can't really afford to open up this next one. Look over the shoulder to see if they've gone to the right-hand side, which he has. And then from here, just keep it super, super tight as we go through. In having to defend, we lost the back of Adam Hadfield, so it was only ever going to be an 18th place finish. So, yeah, not the best of weekends in terms of results. It was an interesting weekend of racing, but yeah, the results did not go our way in the end. So hopefully at Rye House, things can be a little bit different and maybe make a bit more progress and be a little bit less unfortunate through the heats. But that's where it goes with racing sometimes. Sometimes you get things go your way, sometimes you don't. So thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, have a good one.